Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's Jim Keller, everybody.
It's George Cosmo, everybody.
That clip always gets me. I don't know why.
So, story time, straight away. Welcome to everybody coming to the Poutine. Guess who I met at the airport?
Emma Watson.
Emma frickin' Watson.
Which is hilarious.
So I was going into the airport, and because I fly a bunch, I get some privileges of going through like the first class check-in area. Cheapest seat in economy, but first class ticket area. And just as I've gone through my security scan, I go to pick up my bag. I look to the right, and who's putting her stuff into the trays? But Emma Watson. She came through and was waiting for her bag, and I turned around, fished my smartphone out of my bag and said, "Hey, Emma, can I bother you for a selfie?" And she said, "Sorry, I don't do pictures." Yeah, that's her prerogative. I didn't step on it, and we had a little small chat. She asked where I was going, and I was like, "Oh, is that for business?" Or like, "Well, I'm actually coming out to the States, several times in the next few weeks. Stuff's going on." She was going to Burning Man.
Oh yeah,
which is a different sort of hot chips.
Well, Burning Man's at Coachella, so
yeah. Well, I think she was taking the LA flight.
Yeah, because you fly to LA, then you can go to Palm Springs, or you basically just for her just private jet to Palm Springs.
I mean, she had somebody with her, so and she was flying commercial, so it's some people make money, some people don't need to spend it. But no, we are here at Hot Chips. If you follow either George or mine content, it's the biggest CPU architecture, chip architecture show we go to, as in the one that we feel is the most important. It's not the biggest in terms of numbers.
One day I'm going to go to ISCA, which is the International Symposium for Computer Architecture,
which is a lot more academic.
Yes,
but let's not say this isn't academic, right? It's in previous years it's been like 60-40 company academic. This year it's like 90-10. Yeah, in terms of talks, in terms of posters and what have you. But it's mostly corporate, and that's because machine learning, artificial intelligence,
low precision compute, or reduced precision compute,
or dynamic reduced precision compute, or microscaling, or compute in memory, or actually, I heard a new term the other week. Compute in network.
That's not. I mean, Sharp, NVIDIA Sharp.
No, I know, but it's as in a new term. I heard, not as in a new feature.
Oh, okay. I see.
As in, it's starting to be called compute in network.
Okay.
This means you're doing some form of computation on the way from sending data to memory or GPU to GPU, just in order to not make the GPU so much of a bottleneck in serial stuff, or you're doing like an all reduce.
Yeah.
I've seen optical companies try and do that in optical fibers. So you do the compute in the fiber. So
is it like destructive versus constructive weight?
That sort of bollocks, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the only thing I could think of that you could do with the fiber is destructive and constructive wavelengths and stuff like that.
So we do have people who have been admins of servers. Back in the day, you had unidirectional network cables, right? Imagine if you had unidirectional compute network cables. So this cable is an add. This is a multiply.
Where's my give?
Here.
They call that core memory.
No, I don't have any core memories. It's but yeah, and then suddenly if any of those cables fail, you can't just grab one out of the room to replace it. But then again, we have this thing with Type C, right? Do you need a PD240? Do you need a PD120? Do you use SuperVOOC? Do you all the other different charging standards? It's crazy.
Well, don't you know that USB-C is just one nice standard? Totally, right?
There's one word that describes it, and it starts with C. Sure. that word being complex.
Oh.
But yes, no, we are at Hot Chips this week. It's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today's Sunday, at least in this universe. Today is tutorial day. Tutorial is rack scale
and software.
Kernel programming.
Yep.
We weren't really expecting much from today. Tutorials can be hit and miss, or they can be very specific to a very specific user group, but that's why it doesn't come with the price of a ticket. By default. Most IEEE conferences, tutorials are extra anyway. But it's the next 2 days that are really important. We're going to cover a bit of that on the show today. However, it's been a couple of weeks since we did the last Poutine.
I think like 3.
There's been a bit of illness involved and a little bit of travel and a little bit of availability. And there are a lot of things we can cover, but there are 2 main topics we want to go into on this episode. And start off with the first one, Intel.
Yeah, the big news.
Yeah, it's Intel being in the news practically every week for the last 6 months. The big one, well, so two major things happened, and forgive us if you follow this a lot closer than most. But number one, SoftBank made they went into an agreement to acquire 2% of the company through new issued shares. So it's a dilution of the shares.
Okay.
So if you own shares in Intel, they are now worth 2% less. That was $2 billion, so a rough market eval, at $23 per share. And then so you work out the 2% by working out how many outstanding shares are still in the public pool.
So I actually think that's still above market.
So at the time it was. Intel, if you look at the last 6 months, has fluctuated essentially between 20 and 25. As of today, I think they're like 23 and a half, or at least when I checked yesterday, they were. But that's because something else has happened. We'll get to something else in a second. But SoftBank taking 2% of Intel as an investment. Now, big companies have venture capital arms.
Yes.
Intel has Intel Capital. That was going to be spun out and renamed, but they stopped that. Qualcomm is Qualcomm Ventures. Samsung has 3 different investment arms, depending on what side of the company you're on. IBM has its own investment arm, and Apple has its own investment.
NVIDIA and AMD do.
But so the whole point of an investment arm is imagine it's a separate company entirely, but funded by the parent. So the parent says, here's some money. Go find companies that we can invest in, like investors, like VC, and try and get a return. And any profit you make will be rolled back into the revenues of the parent company, and that will affect stock price and share buybacks and stuff. It's the complexity comes in is that because you see something's being funded by Samsung Ventures, you automatically assume there's a technical transference or collaboration there. And that is not always the case. You may get a preferential deal working with that IP, or in the foundry business, early wafer access,
or depending on what the contract says, potentially first right of refusal for anyone who wants to buy the company.
Yeah, well, I mean that's just a standard VC type thing as well. It's more prevalent in the bigger VCs. Some of those companies, and longer term, end up being acquired by the VC funder. I mean, we're talking VC here, but obviously public ownership is a slightly different case. And if you have a big enough chunk, you get a seat on the board. The biggest owners get seats on the board. In some cases, especially in AI startup land, where we are in Series A, Series B, Series C, one of the reasons why Samsung's 4X process node is so popular is because the part of Samsung that deals with the manufacturing is also investing in a lot of AI startups. So that's one way to drive your foundry business, is by investing in people who will use it and then giving them a better deal. It's lower margins overall, but at least you get chips through if they're on time. That's another separate matter. And so SoftBank coming in, and not only Intel issuing new shares, Intel and selling them. SoftBank is now, I think, a a top 20 or top 25.
That wouldn't surprise me.
In terms of the owners of Intel stock. Not enough to get a seat on the board, but SoftBank owns ARM. Well, owns 90% of ARM.
It's like 88, but yeah, they own ARM and they own Ampere and they own
GraphCore. And those other two they own wholly.
Yes,
100%. So again, is this SoftBank just seeing an opportunity to make some quick money, a cheap investment,
or longer term?
Or is this a technical engagement?
Yeah.
We've always heard that Intel Foundry, wants to build chips other than x86.
Mm-hmm.
That includes ARM chips.
Did you see that they uploaded a video about that and then pulled it?
Yes. And the funny thing is, the video that they posted, I have independent footage of that demo. So yeah, they uploaded a video showing a demo that they had at Intel Foundry Connect back in February. And it was here's a non-x86 chip we've built. And here's it running. I remember at the time asking, is this ARM or RISC-V? And they wouldn't say. It was running Linux. So there is that. They had, I think, 12 different applications running at the same time, one of which was Doom.
I mean, you have to run Doom.
But the whole point being, it was like a very multi-core environment with a GPU, with I/O. It was a test chip. It was in a bring-up board. Given that it's being made public now, I do wonder if I can actually share all the stuff, because I also have the slide deck.
Okay. I think it was confirmed that it was ARM.
Yeah, but do you remember years and years ago, Intel under Pat Gelsinger said, we're going to earmark $1 billion to drive the RISC-V ecosystem on Intel Foundry.
Yeah, and then that disappeared 6 months later.
Yeah, but then ARM also, they said, we want to build chips on ARM for people who are building ARM chips.
To me, that chip is really less for like you and I and more for investors and other companies. Because if they're using industry standard tools and IP, then it's like, hey, we've brought up this chip, like it's
but also showing. But also, ARM has ARM doesn't need to say we don't want to build chips on Intel, because ARM's in the business of enabling their chips at every foundry, right? It doesn't. There's no strong arming in saying you can't build ARM IP on Intel, because that would just be lost business. If anything, every ARM chip that Intel Foundry makes is detriment to the x86 business of Intel products.
Yeah, it depends. Can Intel product keep the fat? So
it's. I don't think there's anybody saying that Intel shouldn't build ARM on Foundry, and this has been a thing since IDM 2.0 has been announced, right? It was going to happen. It has to happen. Incidentally, Intel's been putting ARM chips inside of a lot of its products for years because they're controllers, the microcontrollers. You probably crack open this Arrow Lake and find a Cortex M0 in there or something.
Oh, there probably is some sort of ARMs. Or in
their modem.
Granted, this is an AMD chip, but
AMD has plenty of
ARM PSP,
the security processor. Yeah. But even in things like in smartphone modems and stuff, and 5G laptops, 5G, there's plenty of.
So I forget which iPhone it was. I think it was the 10 that had the modem with two Goldmont cores in it.
Right.
That was sort of the exception that makes the rule, because usually it's an ARM core that powers that.
Yeah. So there's no issue there. The question is ARM or SoftBank suddenly going to start driving like low-end chip production of its partners? The question is, if you buy a license from ARM for a chip or a CSS, is that foundry specific? Because the PDK design for like a Neoverse N2 is different if you build it on Intel or Samsung. As in, it's a different file they send you.
Yeah.
Or is it,
I guess that it matters
in very very basic terms.
I guess it matters on the contract.
Yeah, it's. Do you remember back when the whole thing with Nuvia, and they're saying, okay, you have a CPU license, but you can only use those cores for servers.
Yes.
Imagine if the license also said, but you can only build those cores at TSMC on 6 nanometer. I'm not ARM, please don't do this if you don't already.
Well, CSS is a little different because they're just handing you essentially a completed system. So that being, I guess, foundry locked, so to speak, does sort of make some sort of sense. Yeah. But there being like one for Samsung 4X, one for TSMC N4, one for Intel 18A, right, et cetera, et cetera. That wouldn't surprise me. And then if you want a sort of discount, you only buy one of them versus buying
a set.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a collection. Got to collect them all. ARM cores. Yeah. It's well, so ARM's got its own stuff going on. So yeah, one question is this anything to do, because SoftBank's done it? Is there anything to do with ARM here? Is there anything to do with GraphCore here? GraphCore recently has been hiring chip designers. So is there 3 nanometer chip they said they would be doing 3-4 years ago at TSMC still in the works, or are they pivoting to Intel, or is that again something else? And then we've got Ampere. A good chunk of Ampere's core design team are ex-Intel. From the Silvermont Atom days.
Yep, and I'm actually
so they have
one of them. So
yeah, well, I mean, that's to say they would have familiarity with Intel foundry tools, but the new process nodes don't use Intel foundry tools or the EDA tools.
Yeah,
right. It's all industry standard stuff. So that's synopsis. That's synopsis. That's SoftBank. SoftBank taking 2% is interesting, but it's not earth-shattering. The fact that it was a new issuance was a little bit weird. Yeah. But I've been criticized for saying this, but one of the purposes of doing share buybacks, and Intel over the last 15 years has had $100 billion of authorized share buybacks, is that at some point later down the line, you can issue new shares for a funding infusion if you need to. The shareholders are unhappy because it dilutes their investment, but it's a lever you can pull. Which leads to the second half of this, which is the even bigger one. And this is
I was going to say the other lever that was pulled.
It's, I mean, this was being discussed ever since the chairman. Wait, is he? No, he's the head. Is he chair of the board?
He's president of the board.
President of the board, Frank Yeary. He, during the Gelsinger administration, decided to go around Washington, D.C. And see, look, this is what's theorized, see what appetite there was for, some sort of Intel US foundry, I don't want to say bailout, but agreement, right?
Yeah.
In the sense of Intel's got onshore packaging, manufacturing, leading edge. And I still think the desire within, well, maybe Frank is different, and the consensus is he is thinking about this differently. Not a lot of positivity from the audience on Frank, but at least both Pat Gelsinger and both Lip-Bu Tan want to keep Intel Foundry as part of Intel and doesn't want to break it up. The Economist just published an article basically saying it looks like they believe it's going to be split up. I actually spoke to the person who wrote that article, as in he interviewed me before he published it. And I said, no, all routes point to the people in the smart people in the room wanting to keep it together, because that's where the value is, especially with the older nodes. And people in the media, and we poo-pooed this at the time, were talking about some sort of TSMC investment. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And maybe TSMC can come in and do some management and some knowledge transfer. And we always said that was a pile of nonsense.
Yep.
Because there's no reason why TSMC would.
Yeah.
For the most part, unless there was like a fundamental US only chips on US only soil with US only packaging and US only IP. That's kind of why TSMC and Samsung are building fabs at Arizona and Texas, respectively. And so the rumor came around, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, when all the semiconductor CEOs started visiting Commander-in-Chief.
Yep.
And the rest of the Trump administration, and everybody's got to pay their dues to the boss. Clearly, normally that's handled by government relations, but it's. I made a mention on Twitter in general, basically saying it sounds like Trump is the sort of person who, rather than listen to his own advisors, wants to hear direct from the source. So they have to go pay their due respects and inform him personally of how their business runs. Because the minute anybody goes there, whether it's Lisa, whether it's Tim Cook, whether it's Jensen Huang, whether it's Lip Bhutan, suddenly he's very positive about the company after they leave.
Yeah.
So there's all that going involved. And then they announce
I would say that sort of the news before this was the settling of the DOJ case with Cadence.
Oh, yep. So another thing that happened,
which I think sort of.
Do you want to go into what it was?
Yeah. So to cut the long and the short of it, Cadence was selling IP and services to the National University for Defense Technology, or NUDT, which has been in China, which has been a sanctioned organization since February of 2015.
It's been on the entity list.
Yes.
But they were doing this in 2019.
So between 2015 and 2020, Cadence was directly sending
violating the law
and tools to the NUDT, and between 2020 and 2021, they were sending IP and tools to Phytium, which is a NUDT effectively a wholly owned.
A CPU company.
Yeah, which...
If you want to read reviews, then they're on chipsandcheese.com.
Yeah. Funnily enough, we actually have Andy actually has a D3000.
A new Phytium chip to review, yeah.
So, but they are essentially an effective arm of the NUDT. But the TLDR is that Cadence pled guilty to that charge that they were sending.
Well, wasn't the charge brought in 24? Something
so it was originally leveled, I believe it started in 2023.
Okay, but it's only just now that they've taken a plea.
Yes.
As in the stage of proceedings.
Yes.
It's only at this point where they can actually plea, and they pled guilty.
Well, so they were fighting it at first, but they have since pled guilty.
Okay. So they were trying to make sure that the case didn't even get into the courts.
Yes. Apparently it did actually get filed.
Yeah.
But then the judge basically
go do more discovery.
Yeah, and then there was a settlement. They have to pay $140 million in fines.
Oh, well, so the big thing here is that Lip Bhutan was a CEO.
Yes.
During this, and the expectation is he would have known.
Well, the thing is,
should have known.
In the guilty plea, they essentially threw a lot of the former C-suite of Cadence under the bus
because they're no longer there, so they can.
And that did include Lip Bhutan.
Mm-hmm.
So with Lip Bhu becoming the CEO of Intel in, I believe, February 2025, let me put it to you this way. In my opinion, when Tim Cotton, who...
Secretary General?
Huh? No. He's a senator from Alabama.
He's the one who asked the CEO of TikTok, you're Singaporean, but have you ever been affiliated with China? Yeah.
Love him or hate him, disagree with him or agree with him. He sent essentially a formal letter to
Intel
to the national security chair, asking for essentially Intel or Lip Bhutan to come in and testify about what happened.
Well, no, not only that, because Lip Bhu is a managing partner of Walden International, a big investor. He, as part of that, he has many billions of dollars invested, or his company that he is a part of has many billions of dollars invested in Chinese companies, some of whom have been put on the entity list.
Or were apparently some of them were on the entity list when it was funded.
Yeah. Oh, Biren.
Yes.
Like Biren Technology, they've been at Hot Chips before.
Yeah. So that was a big red flag.
Yeah. So people basically saying, the government, people in the government, like Cotton Guy, he basically saying, look, you've got all these conflicts of interest. You've done all this nefarious shit.
Yeah.
We don't believe that you should be the right fit for Intel. Now, given all the volatility Intel's had, this has been, if suddenly this was a thing to stop Lip-Bu being CEO, for them to chop change so quickly, and from somebody like Pat to Lip-Bu to whoever else, because I don't think Pat would want the job anymore, not with the board
Probably
as it is. That would be the death knell for Intel. Yeah. But Lip-Bu did his lip service.
So what I will say is that, in my opinion,
I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
You notice what you just.
Yeah. I get the joke I didn't expect to make.
So there are, in my opinion, there are, due to the geostrategic importance of Intel to the United States, I think that had Tim Cotton and the national security chair had pulled in Lip-Bu for questioning, I do think that would have that there are legitimate concerns there, that it's not just a.
And the thing is, when Lip-Bu had been on the board of Intel for 2 years, and then left the board for a few months, then came back as CEO. You would expect that the due diligence was made at both bringing him on the board and him being made CEO. The fact that this Cadence stuff came to light and these investments post entity list came to light puts a big question mark on, well, how
did they do due diligence?
Or is this just the guy that we need to fix Intel, regardless of whatever?
Yeah.
So it's a genuine concern, but it's a concern no matter who the CEO is, no matter what the company is, if you're of that strategic importance to the country.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And to that strategic importance of Intel, the United States government has taken approximately a 10% non-voting share of Intel, which is sort of what seems to have come out of this.
So Lip-Bu went to go see Trump, and it was widely publicized. On social media, there's a few people who I have interesting conversations with that may or may not be agreeing or disagreeing. But in this case, I think we all came under the, he has to play the game.
Yeah.
Right. And as we're well aware, depending on the administration, the game changes slightly. In this case, the game is very obvious. You've got to go see the main guy. You've got to fight your case, and you've got to put it in language he understands with as many pictures as possible, probably. But it's things like wearing a US flag pin.
Yeah.
Right. The basic stuff. Also, Trump likes tall people, and he likes successful business people. And so he had to go in there and say, well, look, I've invested a ton of money. I've made a ton of money. I know business. I also know semiconductors. I know how important this is. And through the conversations with, I think, Howard Lutnick as well, and the team and the administration, it took a while. It took like, 2.5 weeks after that for the news to come out that, again, a new share issuance of 10%, but there's a big but here. And we need to go all the way back to the start of the CHIPS Act. Intel was awarded, broadly speaking, $11 billion of performance-related grants.
So it was approximately about 8.6 billion in CHIPS Act money, and then another 3.2 billion in Secure Enclave, which is a DoD program.
Yeah.
Independent of the CHIPS Act, I believe.
Yeah. And as part, so it's $11.1 billion total. And Intel had already been paid 2.2 fitting milestones. In the last financial call, I think they said that they were due another 800 mil for more hitting stones. But the whole point was this was a grant, and the government gives out money to help.
How many pounds is that?
It's very light in $1 bills. But some of the programs that Intel was involved in had companies like NVIDIA building chips on 18A, part of the RAMP-C project.
Yes.
But now what has been said is those grants that were performance-based, let's just give you all the money, not being performance-based. The money was also dependent on ownership of Foundry as well.
Yes.
Let's instead just give you all the money, one lump sum, or the rest that you're due. And instead, the US government, which doesn't normally take financial positions in companies.
This is so usually what happens is the US government doesn't directly take ownership of a company.
No, somebody related to a government executive takes. I'm sorry.
No. So usually what happens is the closest thing that this is to in American history would be sort of the take over the passenger train lines and formation of Amtrak.
Oh, so nationalization.
Yes.
Which as being somebody in the UK, is quite a topic right now.
Well, the thing is that Amtrak isn't actually directly owned by the U.S. government.
Yeah.
It's owned by the National Passenger Transport Company.
Which is a division of a branch of government.
No, it's technically a free-floating company of which the government owns, I believe, 90% of the shares.
Okay.
So it's a independent company in theory. But the government has full voting rights, effectively.
So, as part of this, 10% stake that the US government is getting out of Intel, I mean, multiple different ways we can talk about this. When I was speaking to the editor of The Economist, the way I pitched it was, okay, yes, it's quite weird for the government to be investing and take part ownership or a minority ownership, even though they technically become the biggest individual owner, even though it's non-voting, even though there's no seat on the board. This is an administration that has come to power on the back of its business acumen, or at least its perceived business acumen.
Not just that, but also made in America.
Yeah, but the thing I'm saying is they believe that they are business people of the highest caliber. Yeah. And therefore, and the common thread among that community is that the government should be run like a business, like a for-profit business.
Yes.
Right. So as it can't be revenue neutral, it can't be revenue negative, like healthcare and some of those other programs are. Everything has to stand on its own. And by taking a portion of a company, it's in line with the ethos of the administration, even though it's not entirely precedented from previous interactions.
Yes.
There is a bigger conversation here about, well, what does that mean down the line? One benefit to this arrangement that has been postulated but not confirmed is that Intel will no longer have any tariffs related to its business because it's part government owned.
Okay.
As in, that's not something you don't need to be a voting member to do that because you're the US government. You can decide where the exceptions are in the rules.
Yes.
And so there may become favoritism based on if the government were to invest in other businesses, like a fund. I mean, other companies have sovereign wealth funds, right? Singapore. I've even done consultancy for I think it was the Mongolian sovereign wealth fund before. That was a really interesting call.
I can only imagine.
That is between me, Dylan, and Doug.
Interesting.
For a couple of hours, and they were interested in semiconductors. But it's does the government instead of doing bailouts like with the car industry, like with the banking industry, does it now start taking partial ownership, even if it's a non-voting ownership? So the thing is with the banks paid back all the money.
Yes.
Right. So it was a net neutral for the government.
It was actually considered in terms of the money that was paid back to essentially the tax-paying public. It was actually a net positive.
Yeah. So, but the idea is now that with a part ownership, they will now get dividends if the company is successful, and that's regularly recurring revenue for the U.S. Treasury.
Yeah. So I'm actually okay with the U.S. government taking a ownership, a partial ownership of Intel.
If this stabilizes Intel.
Well, not just does it stabilize Intel, right? Intel is, as we've said before, a nationally strategic company.
Yeah.
So there are U.S. citizen interest in keeping Intel alive.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't make everything at Global Foundries.
And at the leading edge, right?
Yeah.
And so my issue with it was that it was CHIPS Act money that was turned into equity.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
So another argument here is when the CHIPS Act was made, Intel was trading at 50. And the conversion of it now is what Intel's at 20. So theoretically, the government should have only got a 4% stake. That sort of thing, right?
That seems.
But we're also hearing that TSMC and Samsung, who were, and other companies that are awarding CHIPS Act monies, are now deciding whether to even accept it now. If it's suddenly going to start coming with, as in, it suddenly becomes an equity purchase. The thing is, they're not going to back away from that money because it's all been signed.
Yeah,
it's already in motion. With Intel has been a pivot, as in a fundamental change in the contract, and it's been agreed by both sides. But it does actually mean that a future CHIPS Act 2, which has been postulated, may be an equity-driven CHIPS Act. And I think that's the only way the administration would actually get it through both houses now. It means that, taking it means if you give money to TI, the government now owns a portion of TI, or Infineon, or Bosch, or whoever, or Skywater, or Tower.
So I was actually okay with it being a non-voting.
Yes.
There was actually an argument made by Crispy Silicon, who is here in the room, but he made the argument, I actually find this convincing, that if it was a voting share, then in theory, what that could essentially get Intel to do is to become an innovation company again, because it feels like Intel's lost that spark to some degree.
I think that's an argument for changing the board. That's not an argument from
a voting share perspective.
No, that's not an argument for the US government being involved specifically. That's just an argument for let's have some change
in the board. Which, if they had a voting stake, would allow for that.
It could do, yeah. But and it does mean, well, it would mean that that person would obviously vote very America first. And is that now an elected position to be on the board? Yeah, it's to be honest, to keep it simple, non-voting keeps it simple.
Yes, it does. It does. But I do think that even though it is a non-voting share, non-voting stake, I think there's sort of an implied sort of hand of sort of, how do I put this? Getting stabilizing the rudder.
Yeah. One argument, it's been postulated in chat and elsewhere online, is we all know that Intel's made this announcement that 18A and 14A, some of it may not happen depending on customers coming in. Does this mean that the government is now going to start, because it has a vested interest in the success of the business, start its other funding projects? I mean, it already does this, like I said, with Ramp C, but pushing companies to develop their products on Intel Foundry nodes. And you can bet your bottom dollar Global Foundries would be one of the ones to say, well, hang on, you're now playing favorites.
Yeah.
And then the government shouldn't be playing favorites. But if it depends whether this is, I think if the US government established a sovereign wealth fund and it was independent and it did stuff like this,
nobody would bat an eye.
No. And it's a very fiscally conservative application because it's business focused. And I think both sides of the aisle wouldn't. The only pushback would be, why are you spending money on that when you could be spending money on
social programs
or defense?
Yeah.
Right. Why would you put 20 billion into a sovereign wealth fund when you could put 20 billion into Boeing or Raytheon?
I was about to say, in theory, the sovereign wealth fund could then go and fund Boeing or Raytheon. Well, RTX now, because
no. As in, when I mean fund, I mean like purchase orders for new F-15s.
Yes, no, I know what you mean. But
whereas the sovereign wealth fund would actually take part ownership by.
Yeah.
And again, but then it's the sovereign wealth fund in charge of who gets grants, and therefore the only companies who get grants would then be the ones that have the roadmap to success. When part of the point of grants is to help companies that need a bit of push or to increase the competitive on a national stage.
I mean, look at how. In the two examples there, look at the. There was a great paper at ISCA 2024 about how MI300 came to be.
Right.
And how the DOE essentially grant funded a lot of the development.
300A.
Yeah, 300A.
Sorry. That's the APU version of the AI chip.
Yep.
Because it wasn't originally going to be on the roadmap. They had to retrofit some stuff in last minute.
Yes.
To get it to work.
But and then
which just goes to show you how important HPC is these days. Sorry, HPC guys.
We all sigh.
Sorry, George.
Although honestly, you could argue that MI300A was the original part, and MI300X was the thing that came out of it.
The story of how they had to put some stuff into the Zen 4-core chiplet.
Yes.
Last minute to get it to work.
Yeah, no. But if you look at how that development went and how it was funded, that's what I'm talking about specifically here.
It's let's flip it back to what's actually happening. This is because Intel's just had its financials like 2-3 weeks ago. As part of the financials, every time I get to join a group chat with their CFO, Dave Zisner. So none of this was on the table during that call because nobody knew what was going on, kept the commitments to keeping Foundry together, and then the very minutiae of different money going where. It's the thing is, Intel has had one-time cash injections before, right? Yeah. So it sounds like the Altera Silver Lake split. The 51-49, that's going to happen this quarter.
Okay.
That's what they said in the last financial call. It should happen during this fiscal quarter. We've also got the nanofabrication in Germany. That was a part split off. They sold additional stock in Mobileye. They've also tried to reduce their expenditure by firing people and shutting some parts of the business down. They also did a write-off of equipment, which was a big red number on their financial sheet, but no actual money changed, which was misreported a lot online. Intel's had a number of cash injections of the orders of billions of dollars. If Silver Lake Altera finishes this quarter, that's $4.75 billion. That I'm not sure if that will be accredited in one quarter or over the next few. Then again, if this CHIPS Act money, just the rest of it appears one day, the 8-point-something billion they're still owed. It's going to look really weird on the balance sheet for the quarter. But then the question becomes, given the losses Foundry is making, which I think is a few billion per quarter.
I think it's about $4 billion a quarter.
But they're also generating revenue, but it's like negative margin as well. Does this 10% stake just fund Intel for 2 quarters? Intel's losses for 2 quarters?
Effectively?
Yeah, so what's left at the end of it is, right, the whole point is the company has to turn around and start turn those losses into positives, into sales. And how much can it keep shedding until things like Nova Lake come out, in things like Falcon Shores are ready, it's Panther initially, isn't it? Panthers, there's going to be a skew of Panther by end of the year, the rest of Panther next year, and then Clearwater Forest. There's a presentation on Clearwater Forest this week. We'll be covering that.
Do you want to transition over to that after this point?
No, because we still need to cover AMD.
You're right.
But yeah, there are wider external concerns about Intel, and they're internal as well. Almost everybody I speak to, as part of Intel, knows how big the situation is.
Yeah.
Some people are disillusioned. They're the ones that have already taken voluntary redundancy or whatever. A lot of people that I'm speaking to there about the like the jobs cuts, for example, it's like, suddenly now I have twice as many reports to me.
Yeah.
But it's still less than some other big companies.
Yeah.
Right. So part of the whole reason of getting rid of a load of people was to get rid of middle management, for example. There are lots of people still highly committed to the success of Intel, not just because they own Intel stock.
Yeah.
Right. Not only because it's being diluted by this $12 billion.
Well, I mean, as an example of that, look at the Linux kernel. Look at how much Intel commits to the Linux kernel.
There's
there's so many projects that Intel's a part of.
Again, it's if things got worse and worse and worse, these would be individually spun out.
But some of it you can't, like kernel development, you can't just spin out.
Well, no, you get a consortium that's co-funded by other partners in the industry, but then you no longer have control over it. It's those sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
But Intel Product and Intel Foundry, I think, are still vital to be kept together. And I've said before, that could change when the UMC Intel 12 collaboration, when that PDK is ready in 2027. Though, honestly, I don't think it moves the needle a little, much. Intel has said they don't expect to be profitable in Foundry until 2030. They've also said that 18A isn't going to hit peak volume until 2031 at the earliest. And this will be because of waves of customers. The first wave is Intel products. The second wave is mostly Intel products. The third wave will be mostly Intel, right? And then, but just portions. It's hard being an external foundry. It's hard being a new external foundry.
Yeah, and while Intel's been around for nearly 50 years,
they've done
50 years. They've done very limited
external foundry.
Yeah, I think the first time they did it was for HP back in the PA RISC days.
Well, so the thing is, the way external foundry worked with Intel is Intel said, "What do you want? We'll design it and build it." Now they're in the new foundry model is you design it, you give us the GDS2, and we'll manufacture it. It's a very hands-off design, and Intel's not used to that. That's why of all this change. But no, there's a lot to keep track of, and whether more investment comes in a similar fashion, I think will depend on where Intel thinks it sits. But for right now, seems to be government happy place.
Yeah.
So before we move into our next topic, because we're going in for a bit, I need to. We don't have any sponsors this week, as usual, though I am working on a few to get George fed, of course. So we're going to promote ourselves. chipsandcheese.com.
Is this the new?
And I want to present, because over at shop.techtechpotato.com, the merch store, you guys need to get on it. Get your own stuff. Let's see if I can share this screen. I don't usually do this with one before. We have 2 new T-shirts in the store. Now, this one in blue, showing the Vatican Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, is something I've showed on Poutine before. I was deciding whether to do it, and a couple of nights ago I went, screw it. This was an announcement was made about a new collaboration to be called VSMC. I think T is Taiwan. What does V stand for? Vatican. Making chips for the Lord. And so this is an image that Dom, my video editor, managed to create.
So are they washed in holy water?
Yeah, that's literally part of the etching process. You have to get your chips blessed. And as it says here, other deities may be available. They might not just be Vatican though. And yeah, so this is just a very basic T-shirt design. We're putting the Tech Tech logo in the back. So there's that. And this is a new one. And I thought I came up with this a few days ago. And this is because, like, if a year ago, there's a story to this. A year ago, I was in a bunch of meetings and people were saying, people have known that if you wanted to buy an NVIDIA GPU, this is before, I think this is even before they announced Blackwell, or they just announced it and it was still, being delayed and what have you. They said, if we want to order like even hoppers today, I'm only going to get them in like 54 weeks. That's the lead time because so many people have already pre-ordered and they can, and this is also back in the days when CoWoS was still a limiting factor. It still kind of is. And as a result, the question was, well, how much of AMD's sales is simply being an alternative that's available? Yeah. Though apparently AMD's lead times are also like 26, 28 weeks.
Still better than 54 weeks.
I spoke to a company today and their argument was, what makes you better than Intel or AMD in the market? And they said, well, you can buy us. It's like, that's a reason. It shouldn't be the reason.
Yeah.
So I came up with this. I waited 52 weeks for my AI GPUs, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt because you still need to wait another few weeks for them to arrive.
I will say, you may get in trouble because of the DHL logo.
That's exactly what Dom said, and I don't think I'm too small to matter. However, it is AI Infrastructure Summit in 2 weeks. I may have to wear it on the show floor.
You will get a lot of laughs, I bet you.
It's I showed this to one of my contacts the other day, and a pair of them. One of them was very stone-faced. Was like, "Oh yeah, no, I get it," and the other one just couldn't stop laughing for almost giggle loop. It's also a design that only works in like light colors. So yeah, I'm gonna if you see me at AI Infra Summit in a couple of weeks. I may be wearing this T-shirt. So, yeah, I'm slowly working on the merchandise. The thing is, there's only so many T-shirts and mugs you can
reasonably do.
One thing, the minutiae of being influencer type stuff is everything you create. Should you order one to check it before it goes on the market?
Ideally, yes, in my opinion.
I do not have enough space in terms of T-shirts of perhaps how many I could make or order or both of mugs and stuff. I'm not allowed any new mugs. I have too many.
Oh, see. So I always get a cup whenever I go somewhere. So Crispy and I went to the Computer History Museum on Saturday.
Yep.
And I had to get 2 mugs. And I know when I get home, I'm going to get yelled at for bringing 2 mugs.
So, yeah, it's Patrick Kennedy, our good friend at Serve the Home. He goes a step further with his merchandise. He has one of every color. He literally has a wardrobe full of hoodies, full of hats, full of T-shirts.
That sounds very Patrick.
But he also has a massive house in Arizona. So he has space. And Miguel says, just give them away after checking them. Or do giveaways. That's fair. So it's shop.techtechpotato.com for new merchandise and more to come. With that, let's get on to the topic that's been blowing up your social media feed.
Oh, yes.
What's been going on with AMD and why should we care?
So, I have to check what day exactly this happened because...
Is it Wednesday?
Let's see. Yes, it was Wednesday. It was August 20th. So AMD launched the FSR4 Fidelity FX 2.0 SDK, and on the 20th. And with that, they also updated the GitHub. Except this time, they at first made all of the models and weights publicly available and launched on their GitHub under there was no direct license attached to those files, and in the repos under the MIT license, which is a all permissive and non you can't renege on it. What's the revocable?
Yeah.
It's an irrevocable license. And that code was up for about an hour until they pulled that repo. You can still find it in the commits, and people have since made forks of it. But that caused a bit of a storm, because at first people were like, wow, the model's open and it's truly open source. And
also AMD's had a thing of being committing to open source on a lot of projects, and
they committed to open sourcing FSR.
Just for the brief people who don't know what FSR is,
Fidelity Super Resolution. It's their upscaling technology, similar to DLSS
for video games.
And so when that repo was taken down, I reached out to AMD for comment, and the comment I got back was this, quote, "Some of our development code was posted on GPU Open Git in error. It has since been taken down," end quote. And that was the official statement from AMD that I got on Thursday. And yeah, I want to hear your take, because I made my take public on Twitter.
So the whole point about FSR4 was that it was meant to be a open implementation of upscaling that game engines can use, that people can use. I say open in the sense that you sign the right documents, you can use it, but it would be part of things like Unreal Engine. So the people who could just click a tick box, whatever.
So previously, with previous FSR generations, you didn't even, as far as I know, you didn't even need to sign a contract. It was there on the GitHub under MIT.
But it would be a blob, a compiled blob.
I think it was, the code was there.
Yeah, no, the code, but things like the weights and activations. Because
this is their first ML model.
Okay, right, yeah, because there's different ways to do upscaling.
Yes.
There's traditional algorithmic and machine learning.
Yes.
I think didn't NVIDIA go machine learning around DLSS 3?
Yes.
And the thing is, upscaling as a technology, when it first came out, it was title specific, because having a general algorithm for everything just didn't really work. The problem with having it machine learning is that you need a vast array of data to train the weights. There's a lot of work that goes into that. I think even when NVIDIA launched DLSS 3, they said, look, this is how many years after our first iteration. We've been building data for our AI models since then, 6 years ago. It's a massive amount of data, requires a massive amount of training to have either one model or an expert model series to then say, we can upscale any game. We can upscale any game. Sorry, there's an advert called We Buy Any Car in the UK. It's kind of what it sounds like. Now, yeah, it does depend on whether you're using this engine or that engine, or whether you enable it in the game. So it's a very big piece of work that you might assume has to remain proprietary, should probably remain proprietary, because it's a competitive advantage. If you then pair that with a commitment to open source, it gets a bit murky. And so had AMD ever said they were planning to open source the weights and activations for its ML models?
No. But
had people assumed that they would?
So they committed it. They said that FSR4 was going to be open source. That was the only statement made.
Yeah, that's not specific enough. You could take it to mean 100%, or you have access to it and it's free, but here's a blob.
So what I'm going to say is that to be perfectly blunt and honest, if you're not going to fully open source it, then why wouldn't I just pick DLSS to implement? NVIDIA's 90+% of the DGPU market. Why would I ever target FSR?
You could say that even if it was open source.
But at least if they truly MIT'd on the source code, then guess what? I don't need to contact AMD. I can just implement it and not have to go through corporate stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's AMD, like there's no contract that would be needed to be signed. So for an indie developer,
yeah, it removes friction.
Yeah.
However, if 90% of the market is still NVIDIA, you still need to do some sort of DLSS. Or can you wait? Can you do FSR for on NVIDIA?
I think
Can you run
I
it?
don't remember.
Clam, any idea?
So if you look at a source code, it's in high-level shader.
So it's HLSL.
Yes, yeah. So if you can make that compatible with NVIDIA, Intel, other GPUs, you could in theory run it on
Okay.
theirs.
Okay.
So I know. So I'm pretty sure that FSR does run on NVIDIA.
Okay, yeah, it's
Don't quote me on that.
Well,
I can't remember if it does or doesn't.
Well, it's like when PhysX moved to OpenCL, it can just run on any OpenCL device. Chester over in the corner here is just saying, if it's it's compiled to an intermediate language.
As long as you haven't done anything specific to AMD in that language, you can
Yeah.
run it on.
So the way you build code for NVIDIA or AMD or any card, like if you're doing HPC, you might have specific functions in there based on how wide your vectors are or how many register how much register memory you have and all the different bits in between. You can abstract that, and as long as you have successful abstractions that don't cause any bottlenecks or breaks, the intermediate language could be compiled to target.
Yeah,
and as in an alternative target. So that there's a lot of ifs and buts here. But what has the response been to AMD accidentally posting this then pulling?
So the response at first was, "Hey, this is really cool," and then when it was pulled was, "Well, where did it go?"
Or wait, was this a mistake?
Yeah, and I think FSR being open source is something that AMD shouldn't underestimate. Because, for example, somebody went and fixed their Unreal Engine plugin. Somebody went and fixed it.
Oh yeah, this is one of the benefits of providing your code to everyone is that they will find bugs you never thought existed, or even if they knew exist. And this is that it was fixed even without a bug bounty.
Yeah, it was just fixed, which. Again, that's why you shouldn't underestimate open sourcing something, is because you can both get a lot more eyeballs on it, but also get people who are passionate to just fix the code sometimes, like we saw with the Unreal.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons to open source, and the biggest con most companies say is, well, we can't control who uses it. And like that, no, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine you sold pickaxes and you could only tell people where to use the pickaxes. NVIDIA would be a $1 billion company if only people NVIDIA approved bought their hardware. That's not to say it applies in every context. There are definitely contexts where open is bad, but it's one thing to never provide an open source. It's another to offer it, then suddenly take it away as an accident. Because, as you say, people in general, the internet doesn't forget. Unless you happen to be an Antec.com, then the internet definitely does forget. Thanks, Linus, by the way, for his WAN show on Friday covering that. Now this is out in the open, and like even if AMD never open sourced anything for the next 10 years, people will still be building on this repo.
Yeah.
And that's the power of a good repo.
Yep. And I think
doing the hard work.
So there were some bugs that. So apparently the Linux code just wouldn't work in the original repo.
Well, so they did say that this was a partial release, didn't they?
Yes, and you can see that in what's in the 2.0 SDK versus the 1.13.
So somebody's dragged a directory over to upload and gone, oh shit, cancel
halfway
through.
Basically,
like a file copy. So you've ended up with half the files.
But there's actually a lot of parts in the
This wouldn't have happened where I live because my internet's so crap.
You want to cancel it before it even started?
Yeah.
But
Dragging the mouse and you accidentally let go of the button too soon.
Yeah.
Oh no, you've played on chess.com. Mouse slips.
Yeah, but
so you reached out to AMD.
Yes.
You got the official statement, which
Yes.
I think has done the rounds, and they've now made it more public.
Yes.
There hasn't been any. I mean, let's be honest. There's private conversations, right?
Absolutely.
But
there's probably fires going on everywhere.
No. I know, but I mean, like to us, right?
Oh yeah.
We obviously have off the record conversations that we can't talk about, but nothing else has been made public.
Mhm.
And one of the concerns here is I'm speaking from my role as industry analyst and consultant on this. Saying nothing is a strategy. People over time will forget, but it doesn't put you in the best light and garner any kudos, any
goodwill,
any aura points.
Yeah.
to use the slang of the minute. But that being said, sometimes that doesn't matter. In fact, a lot of times that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If the future strategy is to be engaging with a developer base, this is one point where you probably should engage.
Yes.
And be honest and open. And even if the path in the future is to not open source what you accidentally leaked, right? Be honest with the community. And again, there's a bunch of people, and mostly in the legal department, who would say, "Shut up."
Yeah.
And and based on how I've worked with companies for the last few years now, I fully understand that stance from that perspective. Well, it's from the long-term perspective. Long-term perspective, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But to our point, if this repo is still being built on externally in 10 years, there might actually be value in going down this path now that it's accidentally happened.
Yeah. And there are people at AMD that want to support open source and open source projects.
There's lots of individual opinions.
Yeah. And I think that's true in most companies, right?
Even NVIDIA.
Yep, absolutely. And let's just say in this case, I really do hope that the voices that speak and support open source win, because at this point you're shutting the barn door after the horse is bolted.
Does this release reduce any of AMD's competitive advantage or perceived? Does it mean that other people can come in and create a very similar?
So look at ARM. ARM's I think it's ASR is based on FSR.
Because it was designed to be consumed that way.
No, it's literally based on FSR.
No, but I mean FSR was designed to be.
Yes, I think it's based on FSR 2.
No, okay.
The new release is
so take Bolt.
Yes.
The new graphics company that we're talking to. Even though their architecture is a different paradigm with path tracing rather than rasterization, I am under the opinion that given where they are in startup lands, they probably don't have an upscaling technology started. No. It might be in the roadmap. Could they take this and build a competitive, or they could use it as an understanding of a framework?
Sure, but
so it cuts down time to market by 2 weeks.
A whole 2, like,
yeah.
To me, like, this is why in like cases like this, I don't see the argument against open source, especially now that the horse has left the barn.
Yeah, well, there's a bug so bad it affects national security in a gaming upscaling technology. You would be surprised at whether camera output from drones needs to be upscaled. And smartly. Well, it's a thing.
I know it's a thing.
But imagine if the DoD took FSR4 upscaling technology.
That would be funny.
And put it into their drones.
I mean, honestly, that wouldn't surprise me.
You don't know that they don't already.
I know. I was going to say, how do you know that they haven't done that?
Because they use Power VR. Sorry. I mean, it's a self-contained storm of what's happened.
Yeah.
It does, lead to interesting questions that, some lawyer's going to say it doesn't matter. I think did it cause your biggest interaction on Twitter ever?
No, that was so my biggest interaction on Twitter was
it was a meme.
Was a meme. Was basically me reposting. The famous XKCD. The internet's held up by this one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that image.
So you're aura farmed off of somebody else's content. No, that's fair. I do that too.
But yeah, in terms of being a press person, this is the highest interaction I've had.
So let's pivot to another story. It's the reason why we're here.
I was going to say story.
It's a story. Actually, look who just messaged me.
Ha! That's funny.
You know who you are. One of the good things about coming to these events is that you meet people you wouldn't otherwise meet, and it turns out they're really important in chip design.
Mm-hmm.
And they then become contacts. And if they told their legal team or their PR team, they probably shouldn't be contacts.
Yeah.
Any aspiring press out there, the lanyard that you get for an event, put it on your belt, because it means people can't see it and they may say stuff that they shouldn't because they think you're.
Well, I put it there because of pictures.
Yeah,
because it's annoying to take it on and off if you have to take a picture or you have to do something.
George is so popular these days; he gets asked for selfies.
So funny thing, I decided.
You're Emma Watson. Wait, sorry. Referencing an earlier conversation.
Yeah. So I actually took the Amtrak up here and was recognized on the train, which is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we ran into somebody who was like, "Can I take a picture?" I was like, "Same person, both."
Yeah.
Yes.
So
he absolutely is.
Before we go into just general hot chips talk, Mr. Vipitis is asking any words about the GPU smuggling documentary. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, Gamers Nexus this week posted a 3.5 hour long video of their investigation into how high-end GPUs that should technically be banned make their way into China mostly through nefarious means at this point. However, obviously before the entity list came in, some stuff came through or whatever. And part of it is stuff like resale. Part of it is through desoldering chips on the US and literally shipping them over.
So what I've heard is that it's more a case of, and this, I think they've been, so let's say Chinese companies sets up a shell corporation in Singapore or India.
So one of the things is NVIDIA, who have stopped publishing this information now, their revenue point of sale is of their whole business is 20% Singapore now. The thing is, they are quick to note in the financials. Actually, the financials is Wednesday this week.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's going to be a really busy week. It says, even though the point of sale is listed as Singapore, less than 2% of the product actually goes direct to Singapore. It's just that the point of purchase company is based in Singapore, and it gets routed elsewhere, Vietnam, Malaysia, or Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point, it's there's the gray market, there's the other label market, and the whole point here is the US government doesn't really understand what it is to benchmark a high-end chip, and so some of these rules and regulations are a bit iffy, and it's a game of whack-a-mole.
Mm-hmm.
AMD and Nvidia have cut down their chips to hit the regulations, and then suddenly they get banned again. And some people call Jensen a weapons smuggler because this is something what weapons would do. The thing is, if I sell a T-shirt on my store,
Mm-hmm.
right, I'm not allowed to sell to North Korea, but if I sell it to somebody who then sells it to somebody who sells it to somebody who takes it to North Korea and sells it to somebody, am I liable for my product ending up in that location?
So the question is, are you knowingly doing that?
True. And the whole point of all these shell corporations is it gets lost in the noise.
Yeah,
it's like a cryptocurrency tumbler.
Because if you knew that, let's say you sold it to me, who is going to sell it to Crispy, who's going to sell it to Chester in North Korea, and you knew that pipeline, then you could be held liable.
Yep.
As an example, right?
So the video was a deep expose. One of the writers on it was our good friend Ben Benson.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, listed in the credits.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch the 3.5 hours.
So here's the thing. It was up for an hour. And because it's 3.5 hours long, obviously sources are cited and sources are used to make a point. It was taken down by
Bloomberg.
It was taken. Sorry, I'm getting messaged by another contact who he says, "Are you coming to Hot Chits?" I'm like, "I'm here right now. I'm live streaming in the press room." And they say, "I saw it." And I'm like, "But we're still filming."
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin. Sorry. So the whole it was taken down by.
Actually up for about 4 hours.
So it was taken down due to a copyright strike by Bloomberg LP, so law practice, and it was unclear whether this was a specified, targeted takedown or just the automated system. Leonard French, Lawful Masses, a channel I wholeheartedly support, went through and said out of the 3.5 hour video, around 2%, less than 2% of the entire time is using clips from Bloomberg. And this is not just Bloomberg News, this is also Bloomberg Originals and Bloomberg Podcasts. And it used to make a variety of points. Most of it's in the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes from Bloomberg specifically. It includes, the longest section is a 1.5 minute section of a Bloomberg publication of a Trump speech talking about chips and China. And then obviously, so they have to go in and say, file, no, it's fair use. One of the arguments I've seen in favor of Bloomberg is that Bloomberg isn't a news source, they're a licensing house, which means that they produce content that they use in their own publications, but then license to others. The idea being that if you wrote a book and you're using some company's material, you would have to pay a license to put it into the book. And because it's a documentary, not a reporting. So news outlets do this all the time. MSNBC says, Fox News says, PBS says, whatever, right? But because this was a documentary designed to essentially tell a story, a factual story, and you're using content you could have sourced elsewhere, but you decided to source Bloomberg. So, for example, they use a lot of other sources, none of whom have said anything yet. And so the argument is this because of the topic of the video, as in NVIDIA, GPUs getting to China, has this pinged somebody at NVIDIA or pinged somebody in the government who's put pressure on Bloomberg to apply? But then why would they put pressure on Bloomberg over some of the other sources that they've used more extensively?
Yeah.
Obviously, Steve's defense is this is all fair use. It's transformative. It's not usurping. That Leonard in his video, I highly recommend you go watch it. Goes across the 4 fair use factors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's things like, you're not usurping the market. Are you transformative? Are you using the minimum amount needed to make your point? One could argue Steve's not doing that, though. That's arguably the weakest of the 4 factors.
Yep.
But then if your argument is, well, we're a licensing house, right? Even at Anantech, if we wrote a review of something and a company said, we want to use your quote and use the logo in our keynote, for example, or on our website, there's a licensing fee.
Yeah. So
because you're using it for marketing.
All those like mice that says PC Gamer says yada 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 about said mice, that's likely a licensed quote.
But if imagine you're David Attenborough making a nature documentary. If you're using footage from a photographer or from a videographer, not your own team, you have to pay a license for that footage.
Yeah.
Even if you're being a factual, again, because one has to argue, is this news of the day that GPUs are being smuggled?
A little bit, yeah.
It is, because you're not going to get many documentaries about it of this scale. But in the same way, this monkey having a banana, it's news to the monkey.
Yeah.
It's that legally there's different avenues to take. And as Michael S. says, the Bloomberg takedown made the video viral. I to be honest, a video that size and that in depth by a YouTuber, just to be very generalistic for a second, that's not normal. And I know I've been critical of Steve in the past, but I watched the first 10 minutes before it got taken down. I mean, it's 3.5 hours. You do have to set some time aside for it. I downloaded a mirror and watched, I think, the first 45 minutes now. And it's well produced. Standard Steve things of, you can tell he's controlling the narrative with some of the things he says. And I've criticized him for that in the past, but I'm not holding it against him so much here, because there's a lot to wade through. And at some points you do have to guide the audience by saying why stuff is important as you're telling it. You can't, in the past I've said, it's usually best to lay everything down on the table and let the audience make their own decision, and then walk you through why you have your decision, right? In this case, because it's a narrative piece, it very much needs the guidance of because it's also set for a wide audience, right?
Yeah.
Credit to Steve and his team, because it very much was a team effort. One of them even got detained at one point. He doesn't say which country detained him. The funny thing is, I was actually talking to Steve while he was filming this. Now, some of you might imagine that Steve and I don't talk that often, but I came across some information that is relevant to his interests. We still haven't had a proper discussion on it. I still want to watch the full thing. Like I said, I've only got 45 minutes into it. People are saying it's now available back online. The copyright strike's taken down. I did see somebody post a picture of apparently Steve went to New York to Bloomberg's offices.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily a fan of just turning up on somebody's door unannounced. If you feel slighted, it feels very much get your hand. I'm taking my daughter home.
Yeah.
And arriving at somebody's door with a shotgun. Obviously, I'm exaggerating for comedic effect here, but it's we all know smuggling's happening going into China as a general rule, because it's very hard to eliminate certain things ever happening. I mean, GPUs are probably getting into North Korea, into Russia.
Almost certainly. I
mean, the question is obviously how and the mechanisms, how much NVIDIA or its distributors know.
Yeah.
You could argue this is something that the US government is doing anyway, the investigations. They're just not making it public into a narrative.
Yeah.
That, it's... I still want to watch the whole thing. I've been very impressed with what I've seen so far. I might quibble about some of the details in the factual sense about how things happened and why things happened, or explain things differently. But the team over there has done a good job, and I look forward to congratulating Steve next time I see him, which I think at this point will be CES probably. major product launch. He doesn't really go to those, but yeah. And but no, he also spoke about how people smuggle in 4090s and then somebody in China puts double memory on them because that makes them better AI cards. Yeah, it's harder with HBM, obviously.
Yes, let's just remove this HBM package and then put the new one on.
Or no, it's disabled in software. So as long as you get the firmware that enables them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then where's the revenue going? And if I was to fault Steve for something, and everybody has their faults, is the business side he tends to stay away from and let other people do that because that's not his area of expertise, and that's fine. That's fine. I think, however, it is a point to mention here, just because if there weren't any restrictions, NVIDIA would be selling $20 billion more hardware, probably. The number's suppressed because it's technically not available. And it's the war on drugs, the war on AI GPUs. I humbly refer everybody to the previous thing I shared. If you're in China,
I waited 104 weeks for my GPU, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Well, this is the thing. Even in North America, even in Europe, people are still buying brand new hoppers.
Yeah.
Right, because that's what they can get, and time to market is everything.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's still like shipments of new A100 80 gigs being sold.
Excuse me.
Because while the memory bandwidth of those and the data types it supports isn't comparable to Hopper or Blackwell, 80 gigs of memory is still 80 gigs of memory.
Yeah. Okay, so Steve an hour ago posted a video from New York. No, you're not. Yeah, so it looks like the video is still down. He has done a video about, how long is it? About 19 minutes about the Bloomberg and the copyright strike. So obviously we haven't seen that because we've been streaming. Those of you who do want to watch the video, if you just search for Gamers Nexus China GPU, there should be a mirror. There are several mirrors where some people have re-uploaded it, and Steve. So this video was funded by their. I think they have like a Kickstarter and merch and stuff, and I don't think they're being too fussed necessarily about who's reposting it. Just because they know that when their video gets taken off of copyright, it will be. People will go back and watch it even if they've seen the mirror. Just do a Google search if you want to use it, if you want to watch it, if you want to go see one of the mirrors. eBay, you can buy A100 80 gigs from China. Was the A100 put on the entity list?
No. I don't believe so.
It's one of those things. They went the maximum max per cycle times by the bit width, divided by the die area,
which is such a weird measurement.
Nobody in the U.S. government, especially somebody called Cotton, has no idea how technology works.
Yeah.
Is it Tim Cotton?
Tom.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure we could do a video on what metric should the U.S. government use.
That would be a funny video.
Because then we'd be accused of assisting the U.S. government in banning GPUs in China. But our response would be, no, we just want this crap to make sense.
Because they're going to do it anyway. Might as well make it make sense.
It also doesn't define Mac precision, or at least the first version.
Yeah, the first version, I think now it does.
Yeah. So yeah, you could get by quoting the FP64 rate.
No. You quote the FP128 rate.
Well, I mean, the FP64 is hobbled anyway, so yeah. And with that, let's move over to the reason why George and I are here. And I will share this screen now. We've covered this on a Poutine before, but we are in Stanford for hot chips. Hot chips. Where are your chips?
Well,
get your chips. Hot chips is the, yeah. Are they hot? What flavor are they?
They're just original. It's just original.
Yeah, so they've got a picture of the flame, and the company who made this
It's Pringles.
Will lead to early tape out.
Oh, you mean the...
Yeah,
okay.
Ingredients. So what goes into your modern chip? Dried potatoes, vegetable oil, soybean and or sunflower oil, degerminated yellow corn flour, copper interconnects, PFAS.
Where's my PMEM?
And vertically integrated memory. It's so hot chips 3-day conference, day 0 right now, tutorial day. We're missing the tutorials because it's about programming, kernel programming. Tutorials can be hit and miss sometimes, but the main 2 days are Monday, Tuesday. When we covered this on the show before, the agenda had just been released. And so people's names weren't on it. And you could argue it also wasn't 100% final.
Well, it wasn't 100% final because there have been changes.
Let me see if I can. Right. Yeah. Let's go with this. So one of the things that I've noticed in the last week on the lead up to hot chips, fun fact, I forgot to register. Even though I've been speaking with people on the committee for hot chips for months, I forgot to. I got an email while I was in the TSA queue, Border Patrol queue, yesterday saying, "Hey Ian, I noticed on social media you said you're coming to hot chips, but you haven't registered." And I went, "Oops, can you register me, please?" So yeah, I only registered yesterday. But one thing is the sponsors have changed literally in the last week, and so the way Hot Chips works is it is one of the very few conferences that is merit based.
Yes,
you can't pay to play. I'm not saying it helps, but they are very committed to being merit based. You typically do see sometimes that the peak sponsor will have a keynote or at least 3 talks, but that's because the key sponsor is usually somebody like Intel. In this case,
last year was Qualcomm.
Yeah. However, there is no peak sponsor this year. Nobody decided to pick up the Rhodium package. Rhodium for $75K lets you put signage up at lunch, promoting your company, and lets you give out gift bags to everybody, and gives you 5 passes to the event. The passes in that context are inconsequential to the price. You also get one of the big tables. I think that comes with Rhodium. It doesn't come with any of the others. Platinum, I believe, is a $25K sponsorship.
Okay.
We have AMD and NVIDIA. They've been there for a while. Perennial platinum sponsors.
Actually, no. NVIDIA has historically been a gold sponsor.
Okay, so they plus one it.
Yes.
And I think that may be because gold got too busy. One of the benefits of being a bigger sponsor means bigger logo as well. So Rebellions, which is the Korean AI chip company. I just had a chat with their CTO outside at lunch. They don't have a presentation. And so in order to combat that, I spoke to them and they said, unfortunately, they weren't ready before the deadline with what they were presenting. But
what's funny is that they're actually having a architecture talk
During a break tomorrow.
Yes, at 11. So on Tuesday.
Yeah, so, they've hired a room in a building next door.
Yep.
Literally to give their talk. So there is that. Marvell, again, associated perennial sponsor, and the company who provided the chips, Architect, which is, I believe, is a design services company.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Gold, a bunch of the normal names. Coolit always sponsors every year. I think Teradyne sponsors every year. Murata, the last couple of years, has definitely sponsored it.
Oh, yeah.
Intel moved to a Gold one this year. And like last minute, Enphase, Panasonic, and hormone replacement therapy. Sorry, I mean Hudson River Trading. It's almost as bad as some Chinese company names, I know. And then we have a bunch of silver sponsors. Again, some of these names, Elian, JetCool, Alloy, Ferric, Marvellus, Andes, sponsor every year.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, you do see the company Flow. That is their logo. It's just straightforward typeface. Very basic. They've got a booth. They're actually showing stuff today. But what we really want is the program. So tutorials today, like I said, data center racks, AMD, Google, Microsoft. You've already got an article up on chipsandcheese.com.
Yeah, for
the Google.
Written by Chester for the liquid cooling talk by Google. I guess the sort of highlight for me was sort of the second half of the second talk, scaling fabric technologies, where Darren went into the speaker went into. So if you wanted to scale the same bandwidth, so for an NVL72, you have 72 GPUs. Well, what if you want to make 144 domain
you either half the bandwidth
system, and you don't have a doubling
you don't have the connectors,
double the number of lanes. How do you pull it off? And the answer is you have to trade off. There has to be a trade off somewhere.
As with most of chip design, system design, you move one thing over here and three other things move worse. It's all about minimizing that. So and so before, when we did this, it was just one session, data center racks. We didn't know anything about the talks. Then there was a series of, they've actually changed this since yesterday.
Yeah.
These three saying case study, basically companies that have already deployed a rack scale.
Yeah.
And their go-to market, their ability, their pain points.
Yeah, so I'm going to actually send you an image.
From?
Huh?
Me.
Yes, but I think I had it somewhere else.
Okay. Well,
yes. Here we go. This image. So the standard NVL72 rack looks like it's essentially two racks. It's the compute and interconnect rack, and then there's the sidecar, which has all the cooling. However, Meta decided to do their own almost complete design from the ground up.
And, give me a second while I change screens.
Yep. And what they did was, in a standard compute sled that the NVIDIA spec, so to speak, has 2 Graces and 4 B200s or B300s. It's known as an NVL4.
Yeah.
What Meta did was, they, from each of those compute sleds, instead of having two Blackwells and a Grace, they went with 1 Blackwell and a Grace.
Oh, 1-to-1.
Very topology similar to GH200.
Yep.
However, they still kept the same number of
trays,
compute sleds.
Yep.
So
instead of in a 1U, instead of having 4 Blackwells and 2 Graces, they had 4 Blackwells and 4 Graces.
No, they have 2 Blackwells and 2 Graces.
Okay. So instead of a rack of 72, you have a rack of 36.
Yes, and
hence you have 2 racks in this config.
Yes, and you essentially have 2 racks of 36 GPUs and CPUs each. Same bandwidth in between them, so the network hasn't changed. But then each of those 36 GPUs now has 2 cooling racks next to them for a total of 6 racks across one NVL72 system.
Does it also, so it says NV switch here 9, and inside an NV switch 1U is 2 NV switches.
They only have a single one.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, does this mean they've doubled up on NV switches? But no, they've kept the same. Okay, and they still call this an NVL72.
Yes,
but it's the way. I mean, this is always what NVIDIA has presented, right, in terms of configuration. Because remember when they first came out with Grace, they said it can be a 1-to-1, it can be a 1-to-2, it can be a 1-to-4, it can be or a big set of 1-to-1s, and yeah, this is what they're doing. Okay, cool. But that's a session that, again,
actually, let me make a correction here. They did double up on the NVLink switches. So hold on, let me send this to you.
That's right. We can just look at this.
So they actually did double the number of NVLink switches. So instead of 18 switches for an NVL72, they have 36 switches for an NVL72.
Which should also, it increases the all-to-all connectivity.
Yes.
At the expense of power and
just number of cables.
And weight of cables.
Yep.
People always forget the weight of the cables. Okay, let's go back to the tab. And then so we had lunch, and then right now it's the kernel programming, all this stuff that we're not into, so we missed that. And then so tomorrow, I believe is the latest start in Hot Chips history.
Yes.
9:15.
Yeah.
Normally it's 8:00. We'll get to Tuesday in a second. But standard intro from the chairs.
And then what's interesting is that they split the CPU section. This was not set up like this.
No, and so the most of the times you have a session and it has 3 or 4 talks. Sometimes you have a section or a session that is only 2 or 5. Hence why we have CPU 1A and 1B. You may imagine CPU 2 comes later. So instead, the thing is, these are all half-an-hour talks, except the keynotes, which are 1 hour. There are points in this program where we will be sitting for 2.5, almost 3 hours. But split this up into CPU 1A, high performance RISC-V core from Condor Computing, which is the Skunkworks division of Andes. Ty is presenting. That's interesting. Ty is somebody who's been following me on social media for years. I can't remember if I actually met him in person. So that's going to be fun. Some of this stuff we've been pre-briefed on, so we're being vague for a reason. I'm not saying this one because I definitely have not been pre-briefed on that. But next one is PZ, the SC4S.
Company that nobody was expecting to show up because we didn't think that they were still solvent.
Last time we did a Poutine and mentioned this, we mentioned the fact that their CEO was is it embezzlement, fraud?
Convicted and found guilty of embezzlement and fraud. The Japanese government.
But PZ is a company that essentially builds really high core count chips. In the past, we've criticized them for feed the beast type reasons, but they've consistently had at least one system on the top 500 supercomputer list or green 500 supercomputer list. And it's been a while since the SE3.
Yes.
So SE4 next generation, going to be interesting to cover that. And then we have IBM Power 11.
Yep.
I haven't actually spoken to Bill in a while, so it'll be good to see him.
Yep.
So I will say I've changed tack this year with Hot Chips. In previous years, right, all these presentations are available the morning of.
Yep.
And that's because trying to offer them one by one, that's just a logistic pain, at least for the budget this conference has. So normally I would download them all at 7 a.m., go through them, and then decide who I'm going to go see. And I end up seeing fewer than I intended because I talk to people too much when I'm not watching presentations. there's that. I talk too much a lot in general.
I'm
going to download the slides, but I'm not going to look at them until the presentations.
Okay.
That way I will partake. Back in my first times to Hot Chips, when I used to sit down on almost every talk and enjoy the Q&A, because there's stuff you don't get.
Oh yeah.
Like also personal anecdotes from the engineers that just happen to crop up. That's really good. So smaller side. But then we have, Xeon. This is the Clearwater Forest.
Yep.
Are we sure it's Clearwater?
I couldn't imagine that it wouldn't be.
We have some chips on here that are old, or at least already released.
Yes.
And Intel has done that before.
Yeah, they have, but I suspect that this is going to be Clearwater Forest.
Yeah. It's the new E-Core part 18A.
Yep. 3D stacked.
Sorry?
3D stacked as well.
3D stacked?
Stacked.
Oh, yeah. 3D stacked. Okay. And then we have the security section. This is fully homomorphic encryption, which is the next stage of encryption-enabled compute. I actually just filmed a video on Konami, which is in the edit suite. So that's going to be interesting. I say homomorphic encryption, and George passes out. And then Azure's doing their secure hardware architecture. This will be their in-server solution, like Titan or whatever it's called.
I wonder if part of it is derived off Pluton.
Probably. Pluton being Microsoft Azure's answer to helping assist in security of devices through cloud control, or at least that's how it was originally envisioned. Microsoft, of course, the company that builds the Xbox, of which the encryption of the last two consoles is still secure. I think they just broke the Xbox 360. Or they've done a thing with the Xbox 360 where they've...
I don't remember.
But that's also partnered with AMD, and AMD built that as well. And then we have what I think is going to be one of the less exciting sessions.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a session to miss, it's probably this one. Graphics. No, sorry, I'm skipping ahead here. We have a keynote. Sorry, from Google. Predictions for the next phase of AI, given Google, Gemini, and whatever. I hope this is a hardware talk.
I hope so. I suspect it won't be because of the later talk.
Yeah. Oh, because of Ironwood. Yeah.
Yep.
So it might be a systems talk. It might, but then we just had an opportunity for a systems talk in the data center. Yeah. No, we're watching. And if we don't like, we'll go. we'll go have meetings instead. And then we have the graphics section. So RDNA 4, RX 9000 already out.
Yep.
RTX 5090 already out. But this talk is going to be focused more on neural rendering. So it's a feature of the card rather than the card itself. And then we have Meta's SoC for augmented and mixed reality, which might be interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say that one's interesting because what are they going to be like? Did they roll their own IP?
So the funny thing is, right now, obviously, I've mentioned before, right in the middle of the AI hardware show, filming and editing. The first episode is all about exits, companies that have either failed or been acquired or IPO'd. And a number of the acquisitions have been done, by like companies like Snap or by Amazon for ultra low power compute. Meta's not in that. And I do know that Qualcomm's XR team are very hyped up. They say, even in a pair of glasses, there's like 11 compute chips. Yeah. All doing different and, all in different power modes and whatever. So whatever they're doing on the Meta side, that might be interesting. We'll see on that. And then networking.
Yeah. Intel Mount Morgan, which was largely presumed to not exist anymore.
So did we cover the announcement of Intel's networking division on Poutine?
I think vaguely, but we didn't have a lot of clarity at the time.
Well, it's so I've definitely argued this, right? People are saying, "Oh, it's the NEX group, NEX," but by the time some of this came out, NEX was already not a thing. It was the network and edge group. Edge had already been consumed by client. Network had been consumed by data center
Yep.
business units. And then some people saying, oh, the network business has been sold off. The way I was told through conversations with people is that it wasn't the networking business, it was the telco business, which is telecommunication, so like 5G, 6G, and a portion of the compute that goes into that. So Mount Morgan is the evolution of Mount Evans, and that was a IPU built for hyperscalers, built for one hyperscaler in particular.
Google.
Yeah.
It was built for Google.
So chances are this is just the next generation Google IPU built by Intel. And Mount Evans was Intel has two SmartNICs IPUs, one of which is custom silicon and the other is FPGA plus Xeon. This is the custom one.
Yes. Actually, do you remember if Mount Morgan was fabbed on Intel or not?
You mean Mount Evans?
Mount Evans, yes.
I want to say yes.
Because what's interesting about that is sort of going all the way back to sort of our original discussion. Mount Evans has an ARM-based SoC. It has like 32 N2 compute units or N2 cores.
Yeah.
I just don't remember if it was fabbed on Intel or not.
Joint project between Google, Intel, ARM. I'm seeing a lot of sources here that say made by Intel, though designed by and manufactured by are different agreements.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not seeing a very concise answer to that. The biggest, actually, the first 4 links are Patrick Kennedy's Intel Vision 2022. And I was actually here when he took those pictures. Continue with the, I'll get back to you if I find it.
After Mount Morgan is going to be AMD Pensando Polaro 400. This is...
it is Intel fabbed.
Oh, it is Intel fabbed.
It is Intel fabbed.
So Intel has already made ARM processors.
Yeah.
Granted, in a GPU.
Well, it's like what we were saying with Foundry. The only way to get a part made at Intel previously was if Intel designed and built it.
Yeah.
And Google basically provided the specs and helped, and may have done some of the compute as well. So
moving on, we have AMD Polaro 400 NIC, which is a released part. And I do hope that because they sort of touched on it back in October of 2024, and then in Advancing AI this year. But I really hope that they talk more about inside the chip, because they haven't talked too much about it.
They're programmable P4.
Yeah, I do hope that they talk more about it. Also, AMD, if you're listening, please release the SSDK for public consumption again, because it was public at one point.
I thought the internet never forgot. Did you
no, the internet forgot this one.
Did you not fork it?
Well, nobody thought to fork it. That was the issue.
You need a home lab that's just designed to fork everything.
Yeah, no, just a big storage server of every repo ever.
Yeah, but it's also UEC ready, Ultra Ethernet Consortium ready, because the 1.0 spec is still not 100% finalized.
No, it is out. UEC is out.
Okay. Then we have NVIDIA's scale out solution, ConnectX 8, which is in the DGX workstation. So that's their next generation chip-to-chip connectivity. And then Tomahawk Ultra, Broadcom are doing a presentation, which is rare.
Yeah, but what's funny is the last Broadcom presentation I saw was at ISSCC. It was actually a really nice presentation.
Broadcom do a lot that a lot of people don't recognize. The reason why people don't... Broadcom's business is hard to understand, and that's because they don't talk to anyone. Well, they talk to a couple of people, Patrick Kennedy being one.
Yeah.
I actually have an email that I need to respond to. But they build chips for a lot of people, as physical design, and Broadcom is the one that interacts with the foundry, interacts with the HBM provider. As in it's a a startup doesn't need to build those relationships, or Google doesn't need to build those relationships if they leverage Broadcom as a chip partner, just like a Marvell or an Alchip or whatever. And I actually recorded a video on Tomahawk 6 last week.
Oh, did you?
Now, that was the chip they announced back in June, so it took me a while to get around to it because it took me that long to get the slide deck. But we have a video coming that's in some form of edit as well. But yeah, no, that should be interesting. Ultra, I think, came out 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't have the slide deck for that.
And if you notice that,
if anyone at Broadcom wants to send me the slide deck, or either that, or I'll bug somebody I know who's here.
By the way, if you notice that last presentation ends at 7:15,
which so we just said it's the latest start to a Hot Chips event. It's also the latest end.
Yeah.
And
to
Hot Chips.
Reception doesn't end until 9 o'clock. So
reception being drinks and ice cream. I think one of the issues that people said is that reception in previous years it was too warm because we're end of August.
Yeah,
and it's quite toasty out. It's direct sunlight mainly. That's the issue. Day 2 is the optical session,
and it starts at a more standard Hot Chips time.
I've been telling Hot Chips for years to have an optical session. Finally did it. They got the 3 startups that matter in a space. There are like 3 others that I track, but they're not of this scale. So we've got Phil from Celestial talking about their photonic fabric module. You'll really like that. Were you pre-briefed? Yeah, okay, me too. So we can't talk about it yet, but we
there's some interesting things in there. I'll say that much.
I liked it.
Yep.
Then we have our good friends at IR, Vladimir, who is absolutely mental, but we love him for it. They're talking about their UCIe optical retimer, which is, I think, the easiest way to adopt optical for most companies is going to be through UCIe chiplets, which is not a stacked chiplet. It's a 2.5T chiplet.
Okay.
I mean, the optical thing is stacked itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I don't. It depends on IR's partner, whether they're Glofo or TSMC on that. And then we have Passage M1000 from Lightmatter. Lightmatter, I mean, I've said this in the past. They haven't done any public demos of their interconnect, but they did just make a massive announcement saying that they've got data on the interconnect.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Innovation and commercial.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're almost at the
Yeah.
end. We've been given the hurry up.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lightmatter. I didn't have time to digest what they announced, and I think it's part of it is because it didn't hit my inbox.
I haven't seen I haven't seen it.
It's a bunch on social media. But yeah, and then we have NVIDIA's CPO solutions coming out from their gigawatt AI factories. They've got some interesting stuff to talk to there, I'm sure. Next session, again, another session that I think is going to be interesting. This is more sort of the startup academic type stuff, is about power and methodology. And this hasn't changed from the last time we covered it. But Fabricate Labs have their next electroadditive copper cooling solution for the data center. So we'll see that. I haven't actually spoken to them since CES, since their collab with Asus.
Okay, yeah.
Because they were showing stuff off in the booth with Asus. I'm not sure if that ever made its way to product, but they seemed really happy that they were there. Then we have Everactive talking about a self-powered SoC, which basically means taking in energy from the environment or through physical motion. Something that's very hard to do, something that's very low power, like nanoamps.
Yeah.
And you end up in sub-threshold voltage logic. Or you have a duty cycle of 0.00001%.
Yeah.
Which means you fire a tick every 16 days.
Yeah.
Or something stupid like that. We'll see. I haven't done much research into Everactive or anything. That being said, I tend to have a cutoff on how small a company is before I pay attention. So we'll see. So sometimes academic stuff interests me, and I'll do videos on academic papers.
Speaking of academic, taping out 3 class chips per semester in Intel 16. So sort of circling all the way back to the U.S. government taking 10% of Intel.
Yeah.
I wonder if we may see some more collaboration
in academia
with leading edge nodes, because that
no chip left behind. That's a T-shirt.
Oh God.
That's a T-shirt. Let me copyright that. This is how I come up with ideas.
You need one no chip left behind and then one chip left behind.
And it's Mr. Chips. That's a reference to a British TV show. Actually,
is it MR Chips or is it Mr. Chips?
It's Mr. Chips. It's Dom. What was the TV show, the quiz show with Mr. Chips? Bob Monkhouse. And the squares.
I know. I'm blanking.
Yeah.
Don't put me on the spot. Damn.
I just see goodbye, Mr. Chips.
No, that's a novel. It was Bob Monkhouse, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
No, not goodbye, Mr. Chips.
It's not my brain is even worse than I thought.
Yeah.
Catchphrase.
Catchphrase. There we go. from the TV show Catchphrase. So I think this talk actually has a lot of potential for Intel.
Yes.
Intel's whole thing is we need to make Foundry easier to use, right? If you can get students to use it, right. And this is Intel 16, so this is like the 22 FFL variant.
Yep.
That's using industry standard tools. It's what MediaTek uses for some of its Wi-Fi chips.
Yep.
Because it does RF as well. So if and this is per semester, right?
Yes.
3 chips per semester, probably multi-project wafers.
Yeah.
Right. But that means that the cycle time as well in the fab for 16 is short.
Yeah.
Assuming they're not hot shots.
They could be.
Which is when a foundry pushes through, because normally you do them in batches of 25 wafers, even multi-project wafers. If you prioritize that set of 25 in a FOUP, that means it gets priority access to any machine that it needs. But that means that some stuff that may have been waiting for a machine for like 8 hours will have to wait another hour for that machine. So a hot shot reduces your efficiency and throughput. And the idea is that hot shot wafers are more expensive. Intel becoming Foundry 2.0 and splitting Foundry, one of their things is fewer hot shots. As in, we're on our 7th spin of this chip because we can't get it right. We think
Sapphire Rapids.
We think we've got it right, so we're going to do another hot shot so we can get it back to confirm that we've done it right.
Yeah.
And the idea is basically get good.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of get good, keynote number 2 is actually a really interesting one, and that is by Rapidus, which is the Japanese fab using IBM 2 nanometer, and they're trying to hit, and hopefully will hit, a start of production in 2027.
Yeah. I think you may actually see some early tape outs in 26. They already have their EUV machines up and running. As you said, they're using IBM's gate all around. IBM obviously created that technology and that IP. The only thing IBM didn't do is take it to scale.
Yeah.
So Rapidus is helping solve that issue, and IBM's obviously involved. Partnered with companies like Tens Torrent and I think LG Research, and people.
And I think Hyundai too.
So that might be a more Tens Torrent focused partnership.
I might be confusing.
Yeah. So the fab's based in Chitose, Hokkaido. They did the formal opening a few weeks ago. I tried to get an invite by 3 different people. Nothing came of it. I would have literally flown last minute. Because arguably the last time ever a brand new leading edge fab from a new entrant will open based on cost. So I wanted to be there. Unfortunately, I didn't get there. Funnily enough, a C-suite executive at Rapidus emailed me the other day saying, do you want to host a panel at a conference with us? As in, we have the people lined up. We need somebody to host it. Can you do it? Somebody I'd never met before, somebody I'd never spoken to before. And I said, yes, but it's the same day as a competitor's event. And it's also a day where I'm with a chip company at their annual tech summit. So the worst timing in the world. I mean, literally the day before I turned 40 as well, which would have been fun. I went to this panel and all I got was 40. 10,
Who's turning 40?
Yeah. So it's now I have that contact, and we're going to go meet for coffee at some point.
Cool.
So Rapidus, the person doing the Rapidus briefing or keynote is the CEO.
Oh, okay.
That is the CEO of Rapidus, and I think out of all the people to speak to at this event, that a lot of things. I mean, part of it is just me. I just want to be as part of the aura of Rapidus because I think it's kind of cool. Whether I'd actually get anything out of it, or whether anything would be told, it's one of those things. I would just like to press my nose up against the glass and go, do a very Max Verstappen-esque environment. But this is also a session that's 2.5 hours. Oh.
Yeah, we're going to be sitting for 2.5 hours. So it's gonna.
And it's annoying because the next 3 talks actually are going to be good.
Yeah. So the next talk is memory, in parentheses, almost the only thing that matters, by Marvell. This is likely going to be HBM4.
Custom HBM4.
Custom HBM4.
Because HBM4 is a scam. We've got somebody whistling.
There's somebody whistling right outside. I don't know if it's
in the hallway or... Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a whole... I mean, I've probably gone onto it on Poutine several times.
I think we talked about it in the last time.
So custom HBM4 is going to be important, but there are downsides to it as well. Next up is D-Matrix, which is an AI chip company startup with their Corsair. We had the opportunity to bring a Corsair to the Poutine because they left one on their table outside with nobody guarding it.
We should have done that.
And I literally could have gone to because if we'd come to this room and stayed for 3 hours and they're running around like flies trying to find out where the chip is. But literally they'd actually put 3 chips, 1 Corsair and 2 of their Jayhawk or whatever.
They're sort of test chips.
Yeah. It would have been nice just to pick it up and show you guys. But maybe that's what we should do. If companies sponsor us, one of our stipulations is you got to give us a chip so we can show it off on stream.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah, otherwise no dice.
Yeah.
They've got a digital memory in compute.
Yep.
Architecture, DMIC, and they're big on microscaling as well.
Yep. And Sudeep, CEO, is giving the talk.
I thought Sid was the.
Oh, you're right. No, Sudeep is the CTO.
CTO.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, Sid.
Yeah, no worries. And next up is the talk that we didn't know was going to happen.
Yeah. So the next talk after Corsair is UB Mesh, Huawei's next generation AI supercomputer with a unified bus interconnect and ND full mesh architecture.
So all the stuff we said in the first part about entity list and not working with companies on the entity list, as far as I understand it, they had to get special permission from the government.
From the Chinese government or from the
US government.
Interesting.
To allow Huawei to present, because technically them presenting at a conference is working with them, giving them an opportunity to talk about their architecture at a conference. Under the entity list shouldn't be allowed.
Well, it's actually interesting that also the Chinese government is.
To be honest, I think the Chinese government are happy to.
Yeah.
Because it's not a case of we need to hoard this for ourselves. It's we want to show how much we are better than the Western counterparts.
Yeah.
The thing is, we've had members of the government do keynotes at Hot Chips before. They've been terrible. But this is because it's a merits-based conference, not a pay-to-play. This might be the only situation in which Huawei would be allowed. Now, the thing is, we go some of the IEEE events we cover, like VLSI, are sometimes not held in the US, and we see Huawei presentations there. But the US versions we don't. We sometimes see FutureWave presentations, which is not affiliated with Huawei at all.
Nope.
But no, UB Mesh, this is their 384 chip architecture, and its design, and Jensen's thing of it doesn't matter if their chips are only a quarter of the performance, they just use 4 times as many because power is cheap and land is cheap. And what he's referring to is this. There is some stuff online already about UB Mesh, and it will probably be just a rehash of what's online already. But presenting it and having somebody present it, I do have a question though. Is this going to be a remote presentation of somebody with a thick accent we won't understand? We've had those before.
I haven't seen anyone from Huawei here, not saying that they aren't.
But it's because it's a tutorial day. As I spilled Pepsi on myself. That's going to be a long session, and
that coffee break is going to be
that's going to be
very nice.
That's going to be a bio break. Because everybody, we're going to have to consume lots of stimulant to stay awake during 2.5 hours of complex, deep stuff. Either that, or we just read the slides and not go again, which is why I want to not read the slides this year. And then we have the final session.
In the final session, the first one is NVIDIA's GB10 SoC, AI supercomputer on your desk. This is DGX Spark, and I am interested in this presentation. I see you shaking your head.
I want this presentation to be done by MediaTek.
That would be interesting. Having this done by MediaTek.
Or having somebody on stage from MediaTek who can also speak too. Because I would want to ask him about the integration of NVLink. Because I've not necessarily heard the best.
Touche.
That's a story to come later. I'll actually probably, if I can get enough sources on it during this conference, I can make the video and not be invited to any GTC again. Hi, Steve. I'll join you. Have I told you NVIDIA now has an Ian rule?
Yes. No, I was there for that.
Okay. Sorry.
Continue. No. So
we know a lot about Spark. I'm not sure exactly what's going to be new.
So we do, but we don't. So
we know the config, but we don't know the layout.
Well, kind of. So there's actually, it looks like DGX Spark is actually using a sort of custom, like an SM that's not found in either client, server, or automotive.
As in they developed a new socket for it?
No, like a different sort of SM. So like the SM.
You're talking about a compute module. I was thinking more of a packaging.
No, I was thinking the compute unit is different because there's a different. It's a different Blackwell.
The thing is, the prevailing opinion is that this is the same SoC that's going to go into laptops.
It might be. I'm not positive.
No, that's why I said prevailing opinion.
Yes.
It's not been confirmed or whatever.
But the fact that it is using a different SM from client is interesting. But moving on from there, the second to last talk is 4th generation AMD CDNA generative AI architecture powering MI 350. This has already been announced. And
well, you've done a deep dive over at Chips and Cheese.
Hopefully soon.
I'm still waiting on mine.
Well, hopefully soon we'll get access to an MI 350, which would be fun. So, and then the final talk is Ironwood.
It should be a good closer.
Yeah, Ironwood delivering best, and Hot Chips usually likes having a banger of a closer because they like having everybody through to the end.
Hasn't Google's TPU presentations at Hot Chips have usually been quite deep?
Yes.
And I think the last TPU they did deep was
the V3
or V4.
Or one of the two.
I think they did an overview of 5, but nothing deep in a different conference.
And then they didn't really talk about 6 at all.
6, they didn't really do a training version of 6, did they?
I
Trillium?
don't think so. No.
Trillium was more inference.
More inference, yeah.
Yeah.
But so the last talk is TPU V7, codename Ironwood, delivering best-in-class performance per TCO, and performance per watt for reasoning model training and serving.
My worry here is that they're going to spend 5 minutes talking about a TPU pod. And I don't need to hear about TPU pod. We know what a TPU pod is. Loads of chips, lots of connection, 2D torus, highly configurable. Great, we get it.
Yeah.
Talk about the chip.
Yes.
Tell me about the chip.
But yeah.
And then we have a bunch of posters, most of which are Korean.
Yep. Big Korean presence.
Yeah, I think this is funding. HyperExcel. So these are all pretty much academics, except for this one by Murata, which is a company that does technologies for chips, and HyperExcel, which is a startup. And I believe HyperExcel already have their poster up.
Yes, they do. I do.
So normally the booths and the posters are meant for tomorrow, but some of them are here today. Rebellions is here today.
Yep.
In a big way. And so it'll be interesting to read some of those. That is Hot Chips. And for those of you who have stayed with us for 2 hours and 16 minutes, we have to bring on a special guest. Chester, would you like to come up?
Sure.
So if you don't know, Chips and Cheese is not just George. The guy who does...
I guess I can sit here.
Oh, you can get on the high one.
Oh, sure.
Careful. There you go.
George is part... It's all right, yeah. George and I will share this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So George's partner in crime is Chester. And this is Chester. He's been on the Poutine before as Gravy. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Did we meet this time last year?
Yes.
And I think we only spoke for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we did a little video segment. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chester and I actually need to have a proper conversation about what the shit is going on. I mean, in general. But Chester works in the industry, as all of us, but he's actually more deeper than some. But why do you come to Hot Chips?
Mostly out of interest. It's a free time thing for me.
Yeah. Oh, so you actually take PTO for this?
Yes. This is my vacation, sort of.
But you live in America. Your PTO is...
I do. Well, it's pretty flexible. My employer is pretty flexible.
Okay. No. Here he is answering emails when his employer thinks.
No. I've taken it off.
Okay.
I've told them I'll be away. Other people are handling my stuff.
What are you looking forward to?
In Hot Chips, plenty of stuff on the first day.
Yeah.
So all the stuff about architecture, basically. Yep. So at AMD, Kuzco demoing their, well, not demoing, but discussing the RISC-V thing. There's some really interesting stuff going on with that. Pezi demoing their SC4 thing. They haven't put something out for quite a while, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. Because there's been info on it, but as you know, with anything you say before releasing it, it's all subject to change, right? Yeah. So it'll be cool to see exactly what to come out with.
Do you take any of the information you learn from the event back to work and discuss with colleagues? No, they're not interested as chips as you.
Because, well, also my employer is here.
Yeah, it's so your badge says Chips and Cheese.
Yes, my badge says Chips and Cheese. I have another badge in my pocket that's not coming out.
Yeah, okay. It's the one that gets you into the secret door, secret back room. How many people stop you and say, "I know who you are"?
None, because in a large company, I mean, you work in your team.
No, for Chips and Cheese.
Oh. I don't think most people know me.
It's good. You have to get your face out.
Yeah.
If you want it. If anybody has any questions for Chester, your last big write-up. Which was it?
Which one? Oh man, there's been a lot. I've programmed a PMU on Arrow Lake and gone through a whole lot of data on that.
I was gonna say, I think the last big sort of really big headliner was Huawei, ironically enough.
Yeah. So, because I kind of know how you guys get access to some of these chips, and it's through connections, and bribes, and subsidies and promises. You randomly get given access to a device like that.
Yes.
Right. What's your first thought? What's your first go-to?
Run the basic stuff. Look for performance counters, look at where it does well, where it doesn't do well, and then look to see if there's anything really special they're doing. And in Huawei's case, they actually did something really special with L3.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that. Like, it took some time to dig and like take it apart and everything. It took some more code writing, but
when you say take it apart, you mean in a code sense, not
you know exactly what you're doing at that low level.
Yeah.
They're doing some pretty interesting stuff where they try to make the most of that L3 capacity. I don't think it panned out at a very high level. Like, if you look at it from a performance perspective, I don't think it worked out in their favor, but it's still extremely cool to see.
Do you ever nerd snipe yourself?
Oh, all the time. I have to watch out, because if I see something and then I go really far until I...
And then 6 hours later, you realize it's a black hole.
Yeah, I did that with Huawei. Actually.
Yeah?
I have nerd sniped test out a couple of things before.
Yes, but you're malicious. I mean, I'm talking about from genuine, from a genuine perspective.
You got a question?
Well, so you come to the talks to understand some of these architectures. How much value do you put in speaking to the architects directly?
Plenty, if they're willing to tell me stuff. I know it in a lot of cases with like maybe the larger companies, the more established ones, they're not willing to go through all of the details, at least not in a super direct way.
Yeah, no, not without signing an NDA.
Which could kind of defeat the purpose. Right? You can't write about it. But with some of the smaller companies, they're actually very open. There's a Revolution's AI booth, and they've been quite open about the details of their architecture.
The rebellions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's been pretty interesting. It's an AI accelerator fabbed on Samsung 4 nanometer, using something very much like TSMC CoWoS, but not CoWoS.
I have arguments with Samsung about the marketing around their packaging. X Cube, I Cube, H Cube.
It's all advanced packaging with really dense interface.
Absolutely.
Is that the first ASIC to use UCIe?
It does use UCIe between chiplets. You
get
about a terabyte of bandwidth between chiplets.
Yeah, but is that the first one that's been taped out?
The first I know of, but I haven't gone.
It's definitely the first AI accelerator with UCIe.
Yeah, so that
probably means that's probably unless other than FPGAs.
The first,
So,
no, I don't think there's even any FPGAs with UCIe yet, because the design cycle for an FPGA is a lot longer.
True.
And these smaller companies benefit from being agile, or I say agile. That could be construed as taking risk or accepting lower yield.
Well,
so,
take some risk.
Chat has a question for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite type of cheese?
Oh boy, I've not thought about that. A nice sharp cheddar, I guess.
I'm with you on that one.
I have. So for most of my life, I have not eaten cheese. I don't like the taste. I don't like the texture, unless it's melted on pizza or in between two slices of bread. I have changed. I will eat halloumi, which, as our good friend and half Italian Dom over there says, should be found under the vulcanized rubber section of your local tire shop.
I don't fully disagree with you on that one.
It's the least cheesy cheese, and the squeaking is amazing.
Sounds like cheese curds,
which you find on a poutine.
Exactly.
I think I've seen more flexibility in a 50,000 mile F-150.
It's I don't to respond to Solid Reactor, I don't like feta. We were in Walmart yesterday, and the only for a country that likes to pride itself on cheese, especially the Wisconsinites, there is not a lot of variety.
To be fair, we were in a Walmart.
We were in a Walmart.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're in a Walmart. Okay, so Saturday, we went to a place and had lunch with somebody, and I went and bought a block of cheese and ate it basically for dinner, or as like a.
I can confirm that.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually did.
It's one of the reasons why. So one of the things I take home, and this sounds extremely pretentious, is truffle hot sauce.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that does sound very pretentious.
It's the one that was selling for $45 a bottle because Oprah promoted it.
Jeez.
Yeah, I didn't find any at Walmart. There is some at Whole Foods, and I don't like Trader Joe's. That's probably blasphemous for some. No. The Trader Joe's in downtown San Francisco is just 90% sugar.
He's not wrong. That Trader Joe's, for whatever reason, is just 90% sugar. The one closer to my house is a lot better.
There's a retail space opposite, which for the last number of years has been this brand, It's Sugar. They've closed down.
I might honestly.
Yeah.
So
So,
waited until they closed down and then just put an arrow pointing across the street.
yeah. It's and my wife turns around and says, "I thought Trader Joe's was meant to be like this amazing local," and I'm like, "No, it's a lot of self-brand sugar."
Yeah,
they've tapped into the market. Are you working on anything while you're here for Chips and Cheese? I mean, hardware, not event related.
Hardware, as in analyzing hardware?
Yeah.
No, I am compiling notes that I've taken the weeks prior to this presentation so that I can hopefully write something.
Although, speaking of nerd sniping you, I handed you the Z13 for Restrict Halo in it. So after this.
Freaking
so I don't know what's going to happen.
Ian has stories here, doesn't he?
No, for as much as I've been saying, Strix Halo looks really cool. How many of you had hands on with now? 3?
2
models. You've had the HP.
Yeah, the HP, which is here, and then the Z13
and the Z. And we now know that there are other. So there's also the HP Mini PC.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Framework Desktop. There's the GMK Tech.
There's at least a dozen mini PCs with it.
Yeah. So you may remember I got annoyed at the Framework launch because I ummed and ahed about it for like 12 hours.
Yep.
And got put in batch 2. I got a notification last week saying it's arriving tomorrow. It arrived Friday.
So the day before you left.
Yes. And I was debating whether I should bring it.
It would have been funny if you did.
But the thing is, if you bring a system fresh and it doesn't have any of your software and all your software is back at your NAS at home.
Oh, your food board.
What would I do with it here? Yeah. So I bought a £12 MSI Titan with a 3090 inside it instead.
Also, the Wi-Fi at our hotel, if you had bought the framework and you had to set it up.
Oh yeah. So one of my bugbears about travel is that hotels don't list their Wi-Fi speed, and nobody's bothered to go round to a lot of hotels and test their Wi-Fi speed and produce like a database that you can search. I found in San Jose, I have a hotel that if I take the Ethernet cable out of the TV, gives me 300 meg symmetric.
Wow.
I found one in downtown San Francisco as well. I thought I had one here. They renovated last year, and now there is no Ethernet connection and only a Wi-Fi. And their high-speed Wi-Fi, which is advertised online, is 15 megabit symmetric.
Could absolutely do some benchmarks on hotels. A very limited number.
It just means, especially if you're dealing with video, as we are, I've got stuff that I'm exporting now back in the room that for content that'll probably go up tomorrow. You gotta wait 8 hours for anything to happen. It's slower than home, and I don't understand that.
And you don't have very good home internet.
My home internet is 80/20, as I keep complaining about. I did see a tweet from somebody in the Boondocks in Finland saying, "Do I need faster internet?" It was 9 gigabit symmetric. It turns out he works for a cloud company.
That's how we do it.
What's funny is that I think they're actually very soon they're going to upgrade. They're going to start offering 10 gig at my house symmetric. I could get 7 right now if I wanted to.
I should have. They say they're installing fiber by end of next year. So add 6 months for it to be commercially available, and then they said, the maximum package we'll offer is 1.6 down, 130 up.
Why are they limiting the upload on fiber?
Because the marketing people are idiots and think it's a copper cable.
To be fair, mine also does that, but then about 3 months after I got my plan, they changed it to symmetric.
Yeah, maybe something will happen and it'll go symmetric. I will keep banging on about my crap internet at home. Did I tell you that Google Drive revoked my security keys and required me to download everything?
Wow.
As in, it was still in the cloud, but if I wanted a local copy, 8 terabytes over 80/20, it took 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
And for somebody who edits video, right, the first terabyte is stuff that you need. The other 6 is backup of previous projects.
I've done so little video, so like the scale of that.
I have spent the best part of 30 hours writing an FFmpeg wrapper that deals with everything for archival purposes.
So what's funny is, do you want to guess how old the fiber input, like the box in my the ONT in my house is?
2006.
2012. So it's 13 years old.
Yeah.
So I've had fiber for over 13 years.
I had fast internet 21 years ago in my undergrad dorms.
Yep.
I know. We've been going for 2.5 hours. They're going to wrap up the talks for the day, and we get to go relax. Except that we have a really early start tomorrow, so
not really relaxing.
No, bed.
I gotta relax now, and then
I've been invited to do. I've been invited to do two dinners tonight.
Oh. 2 dinners is better than 1, I suppose.
Yes, it's I bought hot dogs at Walmart because of course I did. It's kombucha and hot dogs. That's all I bought.
Let me get this straight.
Classic.
You
By the
went
way,
to Walmart to rate our cheese selection and came back with nothing but kombucha and hot dogs.
I put kombucha in here this morning.
See now.
So
That's like the most American thing I've ever heard from you.
So for the person who asked what that bottle was at the very beginning of the stream, so the bottle may be body armor, but what's in it is actually kombucha.
And so I was ill a couple of weeks ago. We've gone way off topic. I was ill.
Topic? What's that?
I was ill a couple of weeks ago, so proper gastrointestinal, and stomach cramps for like 3-4 days. All the women in the chat aren't present, but they would say 4 days, whatever. But the thing that fixed it was kombucha.
That makes sense. The amount of pro and prebiotics in kombucha is quite high.
Unfortunately, it's still ridiculously expensive.
Nobody has bought this combination before at Walmart. Now somebody has.
I mean, so you can get kombucha for like $6 a liter, and you guys don't work in liters, so whatever that is in fluid ounces.
That's approximately
40.
No,
35, 34.
17.
It's about 25 mils.
Sorry, I double it. It's 20. It's 34. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, so it's still more expensive than most. Cheaper than beer in London.
Yeah, the rent's coming up to be cheaper than
Yeah. Do I DIY computer at home? No, because I live in the middle of London. Middle enough. Okay, cool. I think we're gonna head out.
Yeah.
I don't think we got any super chats to cover.
No, I don't believe so.
So we've got a massive couple of days ahead. It's going to be super busy. It's going to be super dense, mentally very consuming. I don't think I get as mentally exhausted as in it really stresses my short-term memory.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to revisit it next week. I'm in town
for sure.
What's the memory?
I know we discussed this before. I remember how many letters things have.
Yeah.
What was I doing yesterday? And I said, "Oh, that thing. It's got 9 letters in it."
It was an ingredient in. No. It was a brand of instant ramen, and we couldn't figure out what the brand was. You was like,
Jay, thank you for the super chat out of spite. So thank you for that.
No. I thought it was a citrus fruit.
Yes, it was a citrus fruit.
Calamansi. I was right. 9 letters.
Oh.
I was right.
You could have gone for clementine.
No. So context was, I found a really amazing citrus boba in London from one store, as in a boba that's just citrus flavored.
Okay.
And it was a fruit that's a combination of like an orange, a lemon, and a lime. But I can never remember what it's called. But I know it has 9 letters in the name.
Oh, that.
That's not tells you he's not on the spectrum.
Yeah. So it's commonly known as a Philippine lime. And it just makes an amazing drink. It's super expensive and super full of sugar, of course, but it's very citrus. It's very refreshing on a warm day. And I remember it because it has 9 letters in it.
Certainly wish we had that here, huh?
Why does nobody else do this? Why am I the only one?
How much time you got?
I don't know what to tell you.
Why am I the weird one?
You can remember the first letter and the last letter, but the number of letters.
Yeah. I mean,
differently.
Imagine if I lived in a culture that used a monospace font.
You would be screwed.
No, I'd love it.
No, yeah, that'd be perfect because you can see exactly where to
Oh,
because it'd be a physical distance measurement as well.
Yeah.
True.
Maybe it's just me. Okay, with that and with my clear undiagnosed ADHD, we're gonna hit it.
I don't think that's ADHD. I think that might be a spectrum.
Oh, I'm just a twat, basically.
I mean, yes, but I was talking about something else.
Solid Reactor makes a good point. I did chemistry, so I'm used to letters and numbers in that way. Crap at countdown, but yeah. So okay, yep. We're gonna head out. We're gonna relax, get some food, and get no sleep again. Thanks, George.
Yep. Thanks,
Chester.
Yeah, thank you.
We need to get this guy on more because he's super smart and needs his face out there. We'll see if his employer lets him. Awesome. Take care, guys.
Yep. Have a good one, folks.
Yeah.
And we'll try and do another one at the end of Hot Chips if we have time, with really tight time. We'll see.
Maybe Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you like this content, there are multiple ways to support the channel. You can like and subscribe this video, and many thanks for doing so. There's also a Patreon, which gives you access to our Discord. There's a merchandise store and a newsletter, links in the description. For all of you who do contribute, thank you. You are keeping me well fed.